We are now recording Milton Cemetery Trustees meeting April 8th, 2025.
8:14 a.m.
Thank you. Good
All
morning,
present.
all. First matter on the record is approval of the minutes from last month's meeting. Have we all had a chance to review them?
Yes.
Was there any questions?
Nope.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second item is the consent agenda, which includes the financials,
And the burial report.
burial report,
Been very busy this month.
full burials, Lisa, right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
all full burial.
No cremations.
No.
Okay.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda that concludes the financials and the burial report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item is superintendent's report. Lisa Ahern, our superintendent, please.
Yes. Let's see. Hunt tree is finished for this year with the scheduled winter pruning. Any remaining money in that tree account that we got a grant from the Copeland Foundation. We're saving the last $8,000 for Maltby Tree to come by and treat our beech trees. We're under contract to them, hopefully, so our beech trees don't succumb to beech tree disease, like a lot of trees around town have. I'll be writing to the Copeland Foundation, thanking them for their support and telling them exactly what was done by Hunt and hoping we can count on them again. Second item in my report, I'd like to discuss the possibility of reducing mowing in the historic headstone area. We're going to get started doing the headstone restoration, and there was an article going around from the New York Times a few months ago. Somebody had forwarded it to me, and I think they had forwarded it to all of you, about how historic cemeteries are reducing maintenance in these historic areas because the biggest threat to these headstones is heavy equipment moving through the area. So people are trying, cemeteries are trying to be a little more tolerant of taller grass and a little bit wilder look in the old area of the cemetery. And ours is really only like 1 acre here up on Center Street. To have a taller look and to be going by those headstones with big equipment with less frequency, because it's the big equipment that does damage to these headstones. So I would even ask my guys to possibly go through there with a push mower, which will go over in a fabulous way, I'm sure. Maybe 4 times a year, 4 times a season.
Roughly how many times a season?
Oh boy.
Are you thinking like cutting in half, like 8 from?
I think they probably do that area every 2 weeks. You know, it's just, until now, till we trim the trees, it's been a heavily shaded area.
Yeah.
Not a lot of grass has grown. The boys, the seasonal kids, can go in there with weed whackers. It's the big mowers that are the problem. So I'd like to explore that.
Do we have a smaller mower than the? I know the big ones we have. Do we have a smaller one that's maybe one of those stand-on?
Yes, we do. Any
We
kind
do.
of riding mower is going to be a threat to these stones.
Okay.
They're close together. They're super fragile. So I would, and then I have to inform the citizens of Milton that this is what we're doing in an effort to conserve these stones. we are going with longer grass in this area for longer periods. And it's a conservation kind of thing. And ask them to be tolerant of a little bit of a historic, wilder look.
I think if you can promote that when people reach out to you,
Yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah.
I don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, we'll have to kind of figure out what that looks like and what kind of feedback.
What height are we talking? I guess that'd be the biggest question. If you ask, 4 times a year.
I guess I have to see
Yeah,
what's
right.
actually going to grow
Yeah.
out there and what happens.
Okay.
I can certainly get a couple of kids out there with weed whackers, like I said. But it is the big mowers that are hazardous to these stones. Third on this report, Mark Chapman's going in for surgery on the 23rd. So he'll be out for a number of months. For shoulder surgery. We need to, fourth on this report, we need to increase the amount of spending allowed in the Graveliner revolving account. It's currently set at $60,000 for purchase and sale of Graveliners, and we also take care of the backhoe out of that account because the backhoe is entirely necessary to put the Graveliners in. So we're spending more out of that account because of just the cost of goods has gone up so much in the past few years. And it's been set at this $60K limit for probably since the beginning. So it hasn't been adjusted. Town administrator knows it needs to be adjusted and will help us address it with the select board.
You have a line in here. We missed the deadline for asking for this increase.
So the
So
town
who-
report has gone to print. I think we would have had to have put it in like January.
Is this like a budget report, or is this like has to go through the warrant committee to
So,
authorize us to increase this?
I think, I'm not quite sure. I'm
Okay.
gonna have to
It
get
might be a town meeting.
clarification.
I'm pretty sure it's
Town meeting.
So I think when we put for a revolving account for the house, we put an article in for the town meeting, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had to vote on a town meeting to approve that
Okay.
revolving account. So I think town meeting would probably have to approve an increase. And so this account generates all the money that we need. We're spending our own money here. We just need to increase it to cover the cost of goods.
So we're asking to increase it by a certain dollar amount, and then do
Yeah.
we increase the liner fees
So we should
subsequent to that?
should also
Increase-
discuss increasing liner charges. Yeah.
Because does it go dollar to dollar? If it's $5 for the liner, does $5 go into that revolving account?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The next item in the report is correspondence from a resident regarding a headstone that has a porcelain picture medallion on it for her mom.
Can we, why don't we just move that to correspondence?
Yes.
We can remove
Okay.
that from the superintendent's
Okay.
report, and we'll put it under correspondence.
We'll address that during correspondence. And that's it.
All right. Motion to accept I need a motion from off the
So
table.
moved.
Motion to accept superintendent's report?
Or I'll second that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion of the fuel storage situation.
Can I just
here.
ask, should this be, because we talked about it last time, should we put that down to number 7, old business, or is this a new agenda item?
I think it's fine to
It's
talk
fine.
about
Okay.
it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fuel storage. I contacted this company called Tank about removing our old storage tank. It really needs to be removed. We can't just let it sit there.
Is it below ground?
No, it's not below ground. It's above ground. So I contacted them right after our last meeting. Of course, I have not heard back from them. I need to give them another call. The best, if we are discussing getting 2 job site tanks for our fuel needs over the summer, we really need to put them in this area where the existing tank is now, and we need to get that tank out of there. So, and that's a big Megillah to do that. So I need a company. So I'm going to have to reach out to them again.
All right, and where did you get the name of this company?
I just looked them up online.
Okay, and they haven't got back to you, even though you
They
might
have
be looking
not.
to hire them.
I can call DPW and ask them for any of their input.
I wonder if there's anyone that's under contract with
Yeah.
the town for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll have to call up there.
Do we have this in the budget at all, or no?
No, it's not in the budget, so it's gonna, it's gonna be a tough nut to.
We'll have to figure out how and
Yeah.
how
So
we could pay for it and,
Right.
and when.
right, but it's not good to let that tank sit there.
Understood.
Yeah. And if we're going to get job site tanks, that is the safest place. It
Yep.
already has bollards in place to put those job site tanks. So I think that would be the best solution for our fuel needs, without going and getting a whole new system.
Yeah.
So I'll continue to explore that.
All right.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is discussion of a potential budget cutback through the override.
So
Jim,
Hi,
Jim, it's Terry. Can I just add one thing to that?
as to what
The,
matter?
to the tank, the fuel tank?
Sure, sorry, okay.
Yeah, so I think it's important that we move forward with looking for some tanks to store the fuel. We just spent $12,000, I think, on the JCB to repair the fuel
injector line.
injector. Thank you. Yes, and they said to me, I called to check to see, on the cost, but they just so I could understand it. But they said that could be caused by bad fuel or moving fuel around in small cans and transporting it that way. So, if we could, I just think we should have to move forward on these fuel tank discussions so we don't have that happen again. That was it.
All right, so I think we'll just have Lisa thanks to Terry, reach out to that company or the DPW, and then we'll bring it up at next month's meeting, and we'll keep this on the table each month going forward.
Will do.
Building, right?
Will do.
Thanks, Terry.
Potential budget cutbacks. Originally, it was discussed. Nick Milano asked us to see where we could cut $50,000 out of our budget, and then he came back and said to us 35,
Yeah, which is seasonal help.
which is all seasonal help. We need those kids really.
Well, this is not for this year. This would be
It's for
It would be for the summer.
this summer
Yeah.
because of July 1?
Yeah, 100%.
So it would be going forward, right, for the next fiscal year, starting
Okay,
July
right.
1st.
Right.
Starting July 1st. However, with Mark Chapman being out, he's our head guy.
Yeah.
We are going to be saving about half of his salary.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be able to so the good news is we're going to be able to save it because we're not going to be paying Mark Chapman his
Okay.
salary. Bad news is Mark Chapman's not going to be here.
Right.
I understand.
So we put that in to the salary line.
Got it.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, because
Okay.
he's going to be out for 6 months waiting for his shoulder to heal. So good news, bad news scenario.
Yeah.
But the summer interns or the summer help is what dates? They start
After
when to
school.
when?
They
Like-
start May.
Okay, May to
Yeah,
September 1.
May
Let's
to-
just use
yeah.
a number, right?
Well,
So,
yeah. I mean, I think they start. They might help before Memorial Day, but typically they wait till they're done with school, which is
Sure.
Right.
end of June.
Right.
but that's
Mid-June.
4 months of their salary against Mark Chapman's salary of
It's really
eight
July and
months.
August. It's
Yeah.
really like 2.5 months.
So I would just document that because of a loss of a worker, because of an injury, that will offset his salary and retain the
Yeah.
the seasonal help. I
Are
mean,
they,
that's-
are they looking for you to cut? Like, are they looking for something, or are they gonna come back to you after April 29th, or whatever day it is, if it doesn't pass? Like, you have to give them a plan ahead of time, or no?
They'll come back. I mean, that is the plan. That is the plan.
Got it, perfect.
Okay.
If it doesn't pass, we're going to be saving that money on Mark's
Got it.
salary.
Okay.
So you can still cut 35K, but then you think you could still...
I don't know how we could do it again the year after.
Of course.
But
1 year at a time.
unfortunately, it fits into this year's scenario because of the loss of Mark.
Okay. Can the guys handle the workload, especially going up to Memorial Day weekend without Mark?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're good.
I know.
You know,
Okay.
Right.
All right, let's keep going.
All right. Next item is correspondence. Thank you, Lisa, as I spilled coffee. Is correspondence. I think there's there's a letter from the Curry family, and then we have email correspondence from Kevin Cook. So we'll discuss both those.
right.
I just looked at my notes. I save everything.
Let's just preface what the letter is.
Oh, I'm
So-
sorry, McCarthy.
Yeah.
So the
Lisa.
McCarthy family has written to us asking for, in 2012 their mom died, they put a medallion with a picture of her on the headstone. And they're looking to do that for their dad, who passed away this year. And they've left a companion spot on the headstone. They're looking for a companion medallion there. We have to go back and find out if that was actually ever really allowed in 2012. We have a current rule right now where we do not allow medallions, pictures, engravings of people on headstones. So I think Joe has looked up in his notes here.
I have, so I retain everything that goes through my emails, and I don't have any record of a change of regulations in 2012. So I don't know when that was changed, or if, I don't know, Jed, if you remember, those were popular like 100 years ago with like Italian families and
Mhm.
Yeah.
certain cultural groups, and then certain cultural groups did things differently, and then it changed again. I don't know, maybe 25 years ago, something like that, and it became more popular. But it's something that I don't think was ever specifically addressed in my recollection.
Until
Until
until the cemetery decided to address it. It is in our rule book, in our guidelines, that we do not allow it. So at some point it must have come up at a meeting that people were using these and we didn't want them to use them. So
I'm sure there's some old regulations in this office that go back to that time period, and we know what the current ones are, and I know it says that about no portraits or resemblances and things like that, so we should be able to figure out like when that got added.
I'll have to do a little, I'll have to go
And
through
I
it.
think you start with Therese.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd reach out
Yeah.
to our former
I
superintendent.
will
and
reach out
ask
to
her.
our former superintendent, Therese, and see what she has to
Right.
say.
And there is an application on file, so I would just reach out to the family to say that we're going to research this and get back to them by next month's meeting.
Will do.
Is it possible to research the application that was put in 2009? When did
So that would have been a foundation application. I might have those.
2012, was that when it was?
I'm sorry,
2012.
That's correct, 2012.
I might have those. We
Right.
didn't scan them into the computer at that time.
Okay.
I might have that on paper somewhere.
Okay.
And then don't the application, doesn't it say somewhere about like no portraits? I don't see it on this thing, this application for foundational lettering, but maybe it's
It
in a
says it
different.
in our general guidelines.
Mhm.
Is there any way going forward, and we're gonna discuss this anyhow next month, is maybe to change the application for foundation and lettering to actually include?
Yes,
Surely.
Well,
because this one says there's a asterisk add porcelain photo also, so that's hard to put that on there if there's something right on the same document that says.
according to
photos or
whatever our
resemblances
rules and
allowed.
regulations, no porcelain photos are allowed.
Right.
You know, whatever, yeah, it'll need to be broader than that, but yes.
Right.
Definitely broader than that, because it would have.
No,
to
I
be
understand. I'm
already.
just saying, at least
Yeah.
there's nothing on this current application, so.
Yeah, we can start listing our regulations on.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay, so how are we gonna leave it? So we're gonna do some research
I'll
on
reach
where
out to the family, let
Yep.
them know that we're addressing the situation. They're gonna have to wait.
Yep,
Okay.
Can I just add on, if in the event that it's not allowed, is there any means of see if that can be replaced? Because there is one there existing and with the parents' photo, if they have a photo of the parents. I'm just putting it out there and offer to them, if it's there.
I'd say
I would just leave it as how we were gonna.
No, I'm saying that there's already a photo there, so.
I'd say let's do the research we just talked about, and then we can decide.
Yeah. I don't want to mislead them. And, yeah, I think. It's
I understand,
better
I'm just saying.
to limit what we tell them.
Right. Any other discussion on the Curry matter or the McCarthy matter, excuse
Just a
me?
quick general question. Outside of this particular incident, are there many special requests that go by the wayside because of the regulations? Or are people,
We
in a
don't
general
get,
sense, kind of abiding by it?
in general, people abide by our regulations. What happens is, so this family has put a recessed area on the headstone for their mom's portrait. So they're looking to come in and put a little recessed area for their dad on the other side. Usually somebody who puts a portrait up in here puts an add-on portrait afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to address it that way. It's a stick-on kind of thing.
Yep.
So they know going in that it's not allowed, but then they might add to it later without,
Right.
like kind of on their own.
Or it's
Yes.
an older monument. and
Might
older
slide it
section,
in there.
and then
Yeah.
they put it in after.
Yeah. There are monuments here with pictures on them, so it's a gray area whether they slid in before we addressed this at. I don't know what year you might have addressed it, but at one point, the trustees must have sat down and said, "We don't want any more pictures
Alright.
on monuments."
Okay.
Well, let's
So
look into that.
We have a
There has
month.
to be a date.
Yeah, we'll look into that. So
Yeah.
thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Um,
Next letter is from Kevin Cook, who was our veterans agent, and he had a health issue last month, ended up in the hospital and had to leave earlier than he expected. The gist of it is we do not have a speaker for Memorial Day.
I thought he had one.
He did
Picked for-
he did have one.
Okay.
The speaker called him and wanted to back out and do his own hometown.
Okay.
So we no longer have a speaker.
We no longer have a veterans agent.
We no longer have a veterans agent. The band from the so there's a cavalcade of disappointments
The band.
here. The band doesn't want to march down from town hall. They want to be here with just a few instruments and accompany a chorus who will also be here. Yeah. And Flags In, we'll have to handle Flags In.
That's a, well. That
The volunteer effort to put all the flags in.
I think you could put it out.
I think we can do that.
I'm not really worried about the flags and the band. I mean, things change for a reason.
Things
we can't
do
control.
change. Right. So it might not be the stellar, but can we think of anybody among us? amongst the 4 or 5 of us who might live in town and be qualified to do a nice Memorial Day speech. Do we know any veterans who live in town who might be willing?
So I have a couple of questions before
Yes.
that. What are our options in the sense of we have to run it because there's no other town entity that will run it?
So
Where does the funding come from?
we share a veteran service agent with Randolph. And apparently, from what I was told by Kevin, Randolph hires the veteran service agent, and then we share that person with them. I'm not confident that they will get another person by then, and that person will be, on board to plan a Memorial Day thing. So I think we need to do it.
Okay. Where does the funding come from for that day? I mean, I would imagine
Well, it's pretty low
the
funding.
DPW
So-
are brought in for the sound system.
Right.
Cemetery guys. that are
That's
brought
in their budget. So that's in the
Okay.
DPW budget for the
Okay.
year, just like it's in my budget for the year to have 2 guys here
Okay.
for that. But, having a speaker is a volunteer thing, I would imagine. It's part of the veterans agent's job to be here and to be the master of ceremonies. We will have to be the master of ceremonies. And, the fire department, who are the other entities that are here? The fire department and the police department.
The color guards,
Color guard. Those
Scouts.
people will have to be here.
scouts.
And I'm sure that all falls out of their own budgets, so
Okay.
I don't think it's not a money issue, it's an organization issue.
Okay.
I have the flags in. Kevin orders the flags in January because he is good and organized, I've already got those flags. They're already here. So we'll do flags in maybe first week in May and see if we can figure out who we might like to speak.
I think collectively we could probably find somebody to speak, even on a shortened version. But you can't not have the service here. People
Right.
expect a service here.
Yep.
So I think we have the flyers from the last few years. It's not that we can't recreate, an agenda for that day. Color guards are if the band's not going to march, the band's not going to march. We lose band members every year.
Right.
They do collapse from, exhaustion and dehydration. So if the band's here, whatever members of the band's here, or we just offer to the band, you don't have to march, just be here at the cemetery.
The portion of the service that happens up at town hall, I am not familiar with.
Right.
I think we run our end of it here, and whatever happens up at town hall, maybe it just happens here.
Maybe it just happens here. Service will be at the
Maybe
cemetery.
everybody just gathers here this year.
I have been, but it's been a couple of years. I know there's some kind of ceremony up there and then the march, or is there no ceremony up there?
Joe's definitely been there, because I know you used to march down from town hall.
Yep,
You
when
know
I
it.
get old.
And do you know what happens up at town hall?
Yeah, so they have,
Flag raising.
and they have, it's a brief ceremony, they lay a wreath at the flagpole on the monument, and then they all get together and march down.
Is that the Flanders Field ceremony up there? Isn't that up there, right? The Flanders Field?
I don't recall if they recite that or not.
But that's
No.
up there, right, at Town Hall?
Yeah.
Right? That's
I
the
don't know
memorial up there?
Yeah, I don't know if they recite the poem or not.
No, but I think, is that where the
Yeah.
ceremony's held? Is that where
Yeah,
the wreath
right
there?
behind the gazebo.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah.
So they have that, it's very brief, and then they all line up and march down.
So that could be.
Let's
Doesn't have to be
let's cut to the chase. In COVID, it happened here.
Right.
That was it. It happened here, and no one had an issue with it.
Right.
It was different times back then, but because of Kevin Cook's retirement, things change. So it's just we created here on our campus.
Yeah.
you know,
I agree.
and that's the way it is.
And then next year, you know, we'll have a veterans agent. He or she will be familiar with,
Hopefully up to speed and.
yeah,
Right.
and be able to do their job.
Okay. Yeah, I think the more parts that we involve in this, the harder it's going to be for us to put it all together. So I think if we just plan on property,
Yeah.
right now the hardest is going to be finding someone to speak.
Right.
You have your agenda.
DPW knows what to do. They come in, they set up the sound system.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the sound system.
Okay. Well,
But But
Sound
if we
system
can
needs-
just eliminate some of the stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't happen on our campus,
Right.
and then we can focus on what we need to do.
yeah.
You have the order of service for the last couple of years, I would imagine, I would hope.
Yes. So, you know, Kevin did say, you know, we need the speaker or the band, clergy. So I'm going to call Rabbi Benjamin and Kirkham Hall. They usually come down. They say a few prayers. The
Who
police
was it?
guy.
Does he rotate them through? Who was it that did it the last couple of years? Was it certain
Both of them
denomination?
speak.
Both of them, okay.
Yeah,
Both-
there's the
both of them
invocation and
speak.
benediction, right?
Okay.
So it's going to be one or two on either end.
Okay.
He said, you know, call the fire department and call the police department
Yeah,
and make
that's
sure
just
that they're going to
getting-
have representatives here.
Okay.
They'll have the Milton Auxiliary will be here as usual, so that
Yeah.
they'll be here. Reach out to the band. We can reach out to the band, and we can collectively. I'll help you, Lisa. I have no issue helping you. Reach out to the Milton High band and just say, "Here's an offer that you don't have to march. Can the kids just be at the cemetery?"
Yeah.
Right. So that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reach out to the boosters program because when I was there, we bought the sound system that they use at every event that doesn't have any issues, and I'll ask them if we can borrow it for that day, because the sound system we've had for the last few years, as we know,
Terrible.
it's terrible. So they have a great system that we bought, and they use it for every event. So we can borrow it for the morning and return it back to them. So.
Good idea.
And then we'll reach out to, again, collectively, I think we all know somebody that knows somebody in the military or can suggest somebody in the military, local, retired, right, that may want to speak briefly. And again, it doesn't have to be an elongated ceremony like in years past, and we'll just do what we normally do. I think the Project 351 is through the high school. I think they have somebody assigned to that reads the proclamation about Memorial Day. That student is already selected, I think, for this year because they represent all 351 communities. So we're not looking for that student. That student's already been selected. And we can reach out to Driscoll and Wells, and I'm sure one of them might have somebody they recommend as a keynote speaker.
Let's not reach out to them until we can use our own.
No, okay, I'm just saying, but they'll want to be notified.
relationship.
No, not
Yeah, you know
asking
what I'm
for them, but not
Yeah.
just to be a representative. So
Can I just ask a question? I'm writing all this stuff down. Can you, Project 351?
that's the proclamation where
That's
they
the
read about. So
proclamation,
there's
yep.
a student from every high school that's selected as a Project 351. I think there's an actual conference. I think is it Boy State, Girl State? I don't know if it's.
No, it's separate.
I know it's different, separate, but
Yeah.
that students they read the proclamation about Memorial Day.
Yep. Does the flag raising take place at that point, or where is that?
The
supposed to
flag
be?
plate so we will raise the flag to full staff.
Yep.
And then it's lowered. No, it's at half staff.
Yep.
Excuse me. It's at half staff when we get here, and then at the end of that, we will have somebody lower the flag. They play the taps, and then they raise the flag to full staff, and that's how it's left. So it's Memorial Day. The flag stays at half staff until I believe it's noontime, but until the end of the.
Is there a list of deceased veterans from
There's
the
a
town?
roll call.
A roll call.
That's-
Yeah, but if we get the booklet from years past.
Correct, but where's the names going to come from?
I
if he hasn't
think
been active
that's the veterans agents. That
I know.
falls into
Okay,
the
well,
veterans.
but he
agents.
has to have it on file from last year.
Yeah.
Because we're only reading last year's veterans
Right.
that have passed.
So I can reach out to Kevin.
That's on file. It has to be on file.
We'll have to access it because he won't have access to it.
Yeah.
And then what are the dates? I don't think it goes January 1st to December 31st. I think it comes much closer to this date of Memorial Day.
Well, for this year, maybe we just use the calendar year of 2024, and then going for next year, we use 2025 and
Yep.
up until
I mean, that's
Like-
a question we can ask Kevin.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we should be able to ask Kevin.
I think Kevin will be helpful to us.
he's
It's
been
not.
he actually offered to be our speaker, which I said I didn't think we would take him up on.
Yeah.
He actually offered to be our speaker as a volunteer and to help us out. And he actually offered to come in and do flags in, and I said we could probably handle it.
Well, I wouldn't rebuff Kevin right now. Just
No.
like let him be part of it.
So he's
And
gonna
he-
be here
And
Right.
I've
as a spectator.
and he's going to attend, and I've got his number, and he wants to be helpful,
Yeah.
and he feels terrible.
But again, we need to kind of get this moving along right away because it's April 7th, 8th.
Right.
Memorial Day comes
So
quick.
we have 8 weeks. Yeah. So
Okay. Anybody thoughts? Anything?
I'm more than willing to reach out to a whole bunch of these.
Yeah.
Just to start.
Right.
And we can just clarify after, but I'm just the list that you just read over and tell me if you think of anybody else. I can reach out to the police, fire for both honor guards, the high school band. I'll just reach out to the high school to find out who's in charge of that.
The high school will have the 351 person as well.
Correct. Fire auxiliary, DPW. Is Lisa, are you going to reach out to Kevin regarding roll call, names, dates, how that usually,
Yes.
where we can access that list? Because that's not just a list of people, veterans buried here. That's a list of residents who have died through the Veterans Office that he knows
Right.
might have gone buried, cremated elsewhere.
Right.
Oh yeah, because there's people down
Yep.
at Bourne,
Right.
down the cemetery down the Cape. So
How does taps get played?
that's through the high.
Remember?
That's at the high school
band.
kids.
So there was the
Yep.
band. Okay.
I think if we have last year's program or the prior year's program, we can
Yep.
pretty much fill in what we need to do.
Yep.
That's all.
Did I hear correctly that we're all going to kind of think of and try to reach out to somebody, get some names of potential speakers, or do you know anyone right off the top of your head that?
I have two. I have a former secretary of Veterans Affairs and a past national commander of the American Legion.
There you go.
Reach out to.
Good.
Okay. Do you want to run those names through Lisa, or just go with
I'll
one
put
of-
something together and send it out later.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just give you
Reach out to my cousin Paul Burke, but he's already spoken here before. So
Okay.
I know.
Good.
Been a while, but there's some names out there. Or we can ask Paul if he knows anyone
Mhm.
in the local area. So
Okay.
But I
That
think-
gives us a start. What is the date for Memorial Day?
May 26th. Monday, May 26th.
Thank you. Do you remember what time roughly the service is here?
11 o'clock.
yeah, it used to be 10 at Town Hall, and then you give it an hour because Joe was always leading the pack to get him down here quick.
11 o'clock here.
Okay.
We could just do it for 11 o'clock because hence that's the 12 o'clock. The flag goes to 12. That's why. That's how the Memorial Day flag is. So it's half staff, half mast, so it's half
Okay.
staff till noontime. That's when it's been raised. Last couple of years, he's forgotten to raise it at the conclusion of the ceremony. So it's at half staff when we get here, and then it goes full staff as everyone leaves.
Perfect.
That's how the ceremony should end.
Yep.
So, and he's kind of forgotten that a couple
Yep.
of years, which is fine. So it's an oversight. It's a lot of things going on.
There's a
So
lot of moving parts.
right.
Okay.
I think we can all pull it off, even if it's just this 1 year, just to
Yeah.
have it on
No,
site.
it's not a
That's
No,
all.
I think it's doable.
Yep.
I will call Rabbi Benjamin and Kirkham Hall.
Paul Kirkham.
Hall,
Yep. I know Father Pilati is ill. If I don't know if you guys know that.
Hall
one.
is
Right,
first.
Hall's
so,
is first.
Joe, I'm sure you're aware.
Okay.
Joe, I'm sure you're aware as well.
Mhm.
Father Pilati. So,
let me see.
I think Meg probably has a program, or you have a program. If you get a program, just PDF it and email it out to us, and then we can start looking at it, and
I will.
everyone have an idea. Because they'll do all the printing for us at Town Hall. That's pretty straightforward. That's where Kevin got it done.
Mhm.
So,
You mentioned scouts. How do I get
scout
someone
leader,
from
it's like
the
Troop
Scouts?
5. Just say it's a change in plans and
Troop 3
Oh,
is
you're
Boy
right.
Scouts here in Milton, and I don't know what the Girl Scout troop is.
Have they ever had Girl Scouts?
I think they're called Scouts of America now.
Oh, yeah. It's Troop 3 is the one up at the Blue Hills.
Yeah.
It's our local.
Okay. Who would?
Thanks, Steve.
Is it still through St. Mary of the Hills or?
Yeah, they run it through that program, right through
Okay.
Smoth. Yeah.
So it's Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, basically, but there might be a different name.
Yeah, and if they want, yeah, exactly.
Okay. There's no parade, so did they participate in any?
They can just be there. We
No,
acknowledge them.
they're usually just here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Seating's easy. You take care of the seating. The
Any
setup
other
is by DPW. The high school, I'll reach out to the boosters. We own it, but the town uses it. But I'll ask them. I know the president this year,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Lisa, when are you away?
I am leaving right after the ceremony.
Oh, on that
I'm
day.
flying out that
Yes, that
day.
day.
Oh, so you're here until Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. I wasn't sure if
Yeah,
you
I'm
were
flying
gone.
out that
I
night.
knew you were going away. I didn't know. I thought it might be before Memorial Day. So
That
that's
night.
good news that you're here.
Have a tissue, please.
Do we reach out to our local politicians, Steve, and
After we get a
Town.
speaker.
after we get a speaker? Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds
I mean,
good.
I think we just send an invitation
Is
to
it
them.
typically just our state senator, state representative, and the select board?
In the Board of Selectmen, or Select Board.
Okay.
That's usually the right, Joe? Usually, right?
It
Rep-
depends. Over the
right.
years, it depends on who shows up.
Sure, but the invitation's there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a blanket invitation to everybody, and then whoever shows.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Meeting.
No, that was old business.
That was-
All right, so we're in check for the Memorial Day. I guess that would fall under new business. So as a result of correspondence,
It was correspondence and new business, right?
right? Well, yeah, exactly. So old business is anything on the old business, which no, that was discussed under the tanks, the gas
Yeah.
tank restoration, and then anything under new business. Anyone? I don't know if Terry's still online or he's flying.
I'm still here.
There he is. Anything, Terry, under old business, new business?
Nothing from me, no.
Okay. Just need a motion to
Motion adjourned.
adjourn.
Motion adjourned at 8:57.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay.
57.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great trip.